This was just a little update on Fix the Family and where we are, where we stand, I guess you might say, is what's going on right now. The mainly our outreach is through Facebook and YouTube, and just statistically, on average, we getting roughly 100 views a day. So, in a month, you say I talk to 3,000 people. Now, like I said, I'm lazy. It's a whole lot easier to upload it and talk to a bunch of people than have to actually storm around and actually go reach people. But hopefully, I'm thinking these views are people that are actually interested in the content and interested in improving their families and doing those things. So to say talk to 3,000 people this month is pretty good. And it might not be that many people, same people just watching video after video we see that. And then what we're doing with it, for a good 5-year span, we put out video consistently. And so we got well over 300 clips out there that cover quite a bit of breadth on marriage and family. And I can go to real-time analytics and see what people are viewing like right now. And so then I can show, I'll drop that onto the Facebook page, so this is what's trending in our content. And that kind of generates a more of a reach on Facebook. Now there's, we're starting to see some other people come on that are doing similar things, and that helps us out, and that, with social media, you can share off of what other people's putting out. And one in particular that's really good, I got to give them a shout out, is True Catholic Femininity. So, we have, like I said, we cover a niche for Catholics that's on marriage and family. And it came out with our very first series, 17 parts, called, what was that called?
Family Matters.
The Family Matters. That's right. So, this one, they cover we have a full platform. They might have several planks within that platform. We have the whole smorgasbord. But what's good about this lady is similar to what we did. There weren't many, which is why we exist. When we were coming up, there weren't many Catholic resources in this area. Either that, or if they were pretty poor, or they were in the form of papal documents or very high magisterium that never reached the people on a plain language level. So we used a lot of Protestant things coming up, and one of them was called Fascinating Womanhood for the ladies. And one person in this thread, or I might call it a rope, actually asked, wasn't that person Mormon? I don't know about what her theology was, but her morality as far as marriage was dead on, And so they can have a theological misunderstanding, but at the same time, have morality correct. So there was this one post that was pertinent that I did share that generated some discussion, and that's really what I wanted to share this evening. And it was a meme, which means a picture with some words on it, and just kind of imagine how this is going to sit with people in today's world. It says it's better to surrender your viewpoint to a man than to win an argument. It's more feminine. And again, she's talking to the ladies. And that's a quote from the author of that book, Helen Andelin. Now, again, that's kind of a triggering device, right? To get attention. And a lot of people are, as you can see by this discussion, are going to leap right past the fine print. That's actually a quote from the book. This is the rest of the story. And bear with me while I read it. And I printed this out just so I wouldn't ramble too much. It's a 91 comments. I'm definitely not going through. I'm going through one person. Like I said, it's a rope. It's threads with sub-threads in it. One person in particular I'm going to mention because it was a fruitful discussion. But the fine print says, "Are you argumentative toward your husband? Many women are making themselves less easy to be with and less feminine in their husband's eyes due to an argumentative streak. You may hope to convince your husband of the correctness of your views through arguing or through forcing your views on him. However, the more you do this and the louder you shout, the less persuasive you are. Arguing rarely ever convinces anyone, especially a man. The only guaranteed result is that it will create hard feelings in him and less feminine woman in his eyes if engaged in vehemently. Only as long as discussions with dissenting views can remain calm, considerate, and good-humored, with nobody raising their voices or becoming agitated, can worthwhile ideas and compromise be exchanged. The feminine woman understands this, and then she quotes several pieces of scripture to back that up. Now, I think if they would have read this, then nobody would have had an issue with it, because it's like, okay, well, if people are people and we're going to have different views on different things, hopefully you're on the same page with your spouse on most important things, and the rest is just recreational discussion. It's like, I like jazz, you like country. Okay, I like pickles, you don't. It's like, why don't you like pickles? Well, why get in an argument over that? But if it's important stuff, hopefully you're on the same page. Well, there was one young lady in particular who she's visited us before, and she says, and this is all out there for everybody to see, and she says, this is true for both men and women. Being argumentative never wins an argument, but that doesn't necessarily mean that a woman has to surrender her point of view. Okay? And I said, okay, well, told her, I said, okay, understand this is an elderly lady, not elderly, this is a experienced lady who's sharing her wisdom, so if you decide that you want to, and this young lady's not married yet, she's probably pursuing marriage, and is not there yet. So it's in that context. I'm trying to answer her questions or comments. And if you disagree, just live with it. You're going to suffer the same consequences that others, in doing that. And so, and this was kind of a key point. She says marriage is about compromise and respect. I don't completely disagree. I just think there are some things that would be more harmful if you surrender. And so my question is like, and then before I allowed her to reply, I said, actually marriage is not about compromise and respect. Both are going to play into marriage, but marriage actually is about love and babies. And, it's about doing life together, this big project, and you got to, and when you're doing a big project with others, you have to play certain parts and certain roles. And when you get outside of that, then your project's really not going to go well. It's just doing life together. There's going to be times for respect and compromise and all these other things, but it's not solely just about that. It's this really strange understanding of what relationships are like. And so she says, so you have a serious, or not a serious, but a legitimate difference of opinion about something philosophical or theological. The disagreement isn't inherently bad. It can be handled calmly, and both parties should be able to leave the conversation without needing to change their views. That's what that she's repeating what was actually said here. So there's really not, it's like, and did you read the fine print kind of thing. But I said, if there's a disagreement in the end after the discussion, then the wife still has to go with the husband's decision. And so she said, so her answer back to that was like, well, I'm not talking about a change of life or anything. So I guess she meant, pickles or not. I mean, I'm not sure what a philosophical issue she's dealing with. But then I said, for the record, it's better to listen and take advice from somebody who's experienced and successful as opposed to somebody who's inexperienced and failed. Because somebody threw into the this ended up being a decalogue of 10 people and 91 comments. But somebody threw in the thing of a divorce in her family that she went through. It's like, well, maybe that's not something you should pay attention to as far as your direction. And again, I've had discussions with this young lady before. So I said, let me just tell you up front, you're an argumentative type person. So this might be why you have difficulty with what you're reading here. And you're going to say you just like to throw your ideas around and things like that. But young ladies like you typically will look for a man that they want to marry who they can pretty much lead around or steer around. So just know that's kind of the direction that tends to happen. So she says, so now we're at the point of insults. I said, well, wait, who did I insult? She says, well, you said something about how I was going to choose a man. I said, no, I didn't. I said, young ladies like you. I said, I don't know you. I'm just saying, I'm not making an accusation. I'm making an observation about, how you communicate. And so she says, but I wouldn't look for a guy like that. I would look for a stronger man. She's a choice word or whatever. But anyway, I said, good, you got it. Then you got the right idea. I said, because I see this all the time. But there's strong women out there. But for every strong woman, there's a stronger man. So as long as you matched up right, then you're good. And you can, some lady in here said too, like some men like spicy women. It's like, yeah, okay, if you're into that, that's good. But just know who you're with, because what the problem is that women will marry a guy who they know he's the horse's patoot, and then expect that he's going to go to the altar and that's going to change him all. It's not what happens. And it's like you just got to surrender and submit to this horse's patoot, knowing that that's how he is. That's the guy you married. It's not going to change him. She said something about, even if, I said, what you're doing is throwing around opinions, and I'm trying to answer your questions and give you legitimate truth. So she says, well, you just so happen to have the truth is that only God knows ultimate truth. I said, yeah, well, help me to understand, because, and a lot of people do this. They just say, okay, well, 50-50 chance of your marriage working out, just so happen just to leave everything to chance, and totally ignore or be ignorant of actual human nature. Said, what I'm communicating to you here is actual human nature. I said, you're a smart girl, do some study, but why wouldn't, so you're saying we just ignore all bit of truth that we do know? What if somebody has researched something thoroughly, then practiced it in his own life, and then, watched it played out, in actual scenarios, and then found that all to match up crossway, backwards and forwards? Says, wouldn't that kind of legitimize something than just happen to say, well, this is the way I would like it to be, or I think it ought to be, just based on my own feelings and opinions and ideals? And so at the end, I just said, well, you're a smart person, you're smarter than that, and do the research for yourself. How about reading that book? How many books on this have you read, besides of just something that you just desire, that you would hope would be this way in your own imagination? And go to the website, our Fix the Family website. We don't have the ladies' book yet, but that's in process. And there's a blog there on the Citadel section. I said, read everything there thoroughly, and get an understanding. We said, because this feminism is very pervasive, and that's what's embedded here in the nature of this discussion of being that argumentative type. And then a lot of people legitimizing it. So I just kind of left it with that, to go to some of our resources. God bless you.